They are for
Those
sure
are not seconds.
Those are less than seconds.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Welcome to D&G Live. This is Dina Nina Martinez.
That's me.
And I am
Greg Potter. This is Greg Potter.
We just decided to get on and just basically talk some shit for an hour before we all do whatever we're going to do for New Year's. Why is it dark?
Is it dark?
Yep, you did something and now we're all dark.
I did something.
But they can hear me. This is riveting television.
I'm working on it. Give me a...
Woo, woo. I could have switched it over to mine. That's Dina's hand.
Why?
It's fine.
No, it's not. I don't want to do. Okay, I know what it is. That's what it is.
If you're actually watching, please say hi and give us a comment. Okay, so
comment about how crazy
we are. Okay, so hi. I've got my wine.
And I've got my
We're in the office. This is very laid back.
This is very laid back.
So yeah, we're doing nothing for New Year's Eve.
What do you mean?
So
Nothing.
I mean this nothing like we normally do.
I mean, we were gonna go to New York City.
Or something.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway, so happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's. And thank you so much for coming to watch us, taking a break from your tiring schedule. Yay!
Who's here? I see
Ann Walker's here. Hi, Ann.
Oh, hello.
We're so happy to see. Happy New Year. I don't know why we did that. That was so weird.
I liked it. I like to blow kisses. Before we get into like talking about 2020 and everything,
yeah.
I think that we've both been up to a bunch of shit, and I think we should talk about it quick.
What are we talking? What shit?
Well, I launched the LGBTQ plus Interchange, which is a leadership and collaboration program that I will start off in South Africa. We'll be bringing Americans and whoever to South Africa for 2 weeks. It will be an amazing vacation, and then we're also gonna do a certificate program teaching my new collaboration framework, which I just announced the book today. And the title of the book, which is called
Greg Potter,
You Fool.
You Fool.
Oh my gosh, what's the rest of it? Greg Potter, You
Story
Fool.
of collaboration. Stories of collaboration
framework from a friend collector.
Chunk.
That was really bad. Anyway.
I'm sorry, I didn't know it. So yeah, what are you wearing?
What am I wearing? Well, my friend Dina got me this hat for Christmas, and I really think that some gay Smurf is out there just like looking for their hat.
Daddy Smurf is looking for his hat.
Like that poor Smurf, that little homosexual Smurf.
That little wailing, daddy tattoo
wailing
Smurf.
Because it cannot find its hat. That's that.
So I'm so excited for what you've got going on. And there's nothing I can talk about yet.
Dina has some really cool shit happening.
Yeah, I think we've got some things that are looking really good coming up. So you will hear more about that soon. Go to ladylaughscomedy.com and register for our mailing list so you can find out all that's happening. And of course, the festival is going to be in April, May this year. So
virtual again.
Virtual comedy.
Baby, it's virtual.
Baby, it's virtual comedy.
Singing, not comedy. I mean, comedy, not singing. Anyway,
you're such a bitch.
What? So let's be.
I wrote nothing down. I
didn't put anything serious down. I mean, serious stuff, but like
you wrote things down.
So, just in general, before we get into it, how are your feelings about ending 2020? Besides the obvious fuck yeah, let's move on with our lives.
Yeah, it's definitely let's move on with our lives. It's been an incredibly vibrant year. It's been ups and downs, and I mean everything that every year is, just a lot more intensity. But I've had a pretty decent year for me. Like I had a pretty decent year. I've had really shitty fucking years. This has not been a really shitty fucking year. It's been a really sad year. It's been a really hard year, but it hasn't been terrible for me. But I know, like, I have friends that have lost, they just, like, people in their lives are dropping like flies, and that's hard.
Yeah.
You know? And then just the people that I know that are dealing with loss, it's hard.
I have to keep reminding myself that we're on a pendulum. And we're also, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but like there's a change in the American consciousness, like in the global consciousness, there's a change. We went into the age of Aquarius last month. Like things are happening. So I keep holding on to that. And I mean, this year, it wasn't a horrible year, but also like I did lose 90% of my business, and like shit still happened, but a lot of really good stuff happened too. So, let's talk about, sorry.
No, go ahead. I think the thing I wanted to say was we've had all of our focus on our year being so hard and so shitty. Like, I'm not going to diminish the fact that I miss hugging people. I miss performing in front of people. But there are so many things that came out that have come out of 2020 that are really cool.
That reminds me, when I was looking through pictures every year, I look through all my pictures taken in my phone from the year, and I picked 10 pictures that were never shared to like tell the story of what happened during the year. And when I was looking through the pictures, I came across the pictures I took of your last showcase. And I have to give them to you because the class looks amazing. Like, you look fantastic. And it was such a magnificent evening. Like, it was a good group of comedians, beginner comedians that really knew their shit. So, yeah.
Like I started off the year like, this is going to be a fucking amazing year. Like, I got some sponsorships that were bigger than I had gotten before. Like, the festival was gearing up to be really great, and it did turn out great. It just turned out differently than we expected. My class came through, and they were stellar. Like, I have some stellar comics that came out of that last class, and it was really exciting where we were going.
Where we were going. I'm sipping this lovely cup that's as gay as my hat, but it says vintage 1980, the year I was born, because I turned 40 this year. And I did not think that trip would be my last trip of the year to Catalina to celebrate, but I'm so thankful that it was, and I'm thankful that everyone that was there to do it. But also we got creative this year. Speaking of birthdays, you were supposed to go to London and Paris.
Yeah, it was the first time, like, it was like I didn't turn 40, but I turned 41. And I turned 31 again. For many years. Hi, Katie.
Hey, cousin Katie.
Nice to see you.
Welcome. Cheers.
Thanks,
I know she's
here.
got a
Cheers.
drink in her hand. And Ann Walker probably does too.
Oh, so yeah. Cheers. I don't know what that was. I was supposed to go to Paris and London. Paris, France, London, England, but we went to Paris and London, Wisconsin.
It was a really fun day, though.
And it was a fun day.
It was, but it wasn't the trip. So speaking of Katie came home a couple times to Wisconsin, and I don't usually get that much time with her when she's home because I'm running around and so busy. And it was so nice to have that time with her and other people that normally, and I was able to see spring and summer in a way that I have never been. I mean, I will never exchange that ever again for my travel plans, But it was wonderful to, like, my good friend Jeff let me his bike, so I was able to take trails around Dane County and Madison that I had never been on before. So that was really wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just such a bigger person than I was in January. Like, so much bigger.
As a star?
No.
Don't!
I'm so much bigger. My face is enormous now. So I love myself.
Did Katie say something?
She said, cheers. Love.
Cheers, my love.
Yeah. Go continue.
So before we get into the details, other details, what did you really, let's talk about pop culture. What really stood out to you in 2020, whether it was podcasts, it wasn't fashion because nobody was doing anything fashionable. It's like,
really? Like, no, like, did we see any fashion shows or anything? No. Like, I don't remember seeing at all like a fall fashion show.
No, nothing.
Or
Christine and I were joking.
The Marco show. Like, we didn't.
Were you with us? Christine and I were joking about how, like, this year they just chose a random 90s year and just followed that fashion. Because corduroy dresses are back.
Are they? Oh, God.
Yeah. It's 1993.
But what is back that I actually really loved are the rocker pixie mullets.
Yes. Our friend Jaren had one for, I mean, no, it's grown out a little bit, but like hers fucking rocked. And I hate that no one was able really to see it and it looked good.
And then like Miley Cyrus got the pixie rocker cut. It just, when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that reminds me of like Pat Benatar when my mom used to show me pictures from the 80s.
Who are you kidding? Who are you trying to fool?
I'm just telling it like it is.
Okay, so other things though. There was some great, I mean, who didn't watch everything that Netflix has to offer?
Everything.
But I will say, Little Fires Everywhere this year was fucking amazing. Lovecraft Country. And I would put like Queen's Gambit for like shows to binge. Those are three of my top shows that like, there's really some thought going into this. We have space to digest what these artists are putting into this content.
Yeah.
So
those are things that I haven't really finished. One I started, I haven't finished them all. But
I know Lovecraft Country, you've got to get to where
I'm really
she talks
disappointed that I haven't. So, but we also watched. We went back and watched from a few years ago The Leftovers, and I was just like, "Oh my God, this is so good." Because
I was with Josh on our trip around the Great Lakes, and he's like, "You need to watch this."
And then, what was the show that was on that I told you to watch that felt a little too much? It was set in the UK. Emma Thompson.
Years and Years. That was an older show. But it's interesting that it matched so well with what's going on.
It felt so real. And I was like, oh God. Now, did anyone else watch a lot of movies about or television shows about pandemics this year? Like Pandemic?
Or what else? We just watched a new one recently.
Pandemic, the scripted series? Pandemic, the documentary.
What was the
Pandemic, the TV show? Pandemic 2020. Songbird, I think is what you were talking. So
Songbird, yes.
So we just watched Songbird, which was a new release. Is a new release that you can watch on the on all the places. And it's 2023 and COVID-23. We have been in shutdown for 4 years. And I'm like, oh my God, this makes my stomach.
It was a little bit too close to home. Well, and also they just launched Stephen King's. We watched the first two episodes.
The Stand
with Whoopi Goldberg and Alexander Skarsgård. And it's off to a good start, people, but it's again a little close to home.
a little too fresh. So tell us what you're watching. We would love to know what you're watching, what you're out there watching. What you watching?
Brené Brown has taken over my life.
I love it.
And I'm balancing her with a lot of books that are not a white woman.
Oh.
But Brené Brown is Brené Brown. And I mean, who pulls out 2 podcasts during a pandemic?
Yes.
Brené Brown.
Massively.
So, and some of her interviews, oh my God. Her talk with President Obama shakes
I haven't
you
heard
up.
that yet.
Her talk with Russell Brand on Russell Brand's podcast, Under the Skin, amazing.
Loved it.
So, yeah.
Her Priya Parker.
Oh my gosh, Priya Parker's podcast.
Priya Parker. Well, the interview
with Priya Parker, but also that. The New York Times. Priya Parker is like one of my goddesses. She wrote The Art of Gathering, and the New York Times asked her to do a podcast this year on, it's called Together Apart. And so she talks about how we create more engagement with our virtual meetings and our virtual events. And it was, I mean, I've been using it with clients. It's, yeah.
Disclosure, which was a very interesting show, talked about trans people in like how we perceived ourselves through the media lens, how the world has perceived us through the media lens, and how we reacted. So all the really famous trans people, except for me, got to be on that documentary.
You were busy that weekend.
I was very busy. I told them I'm sorry, I can't be
be
there for that. But it was really interesting to see trans people talk about their perception of who they were through a media lens, like depictions all the way from I can't remember his name right now, of course, but like The Silence of the Lambs to Bosom Buddies, throughout the whole gamut of media depictions of trans people. And I found it really interesting. And without having the words, without knowing what I was thinking about those things, I found out that I was really thinking those things at the same time that a bunch of other trans people were, that I just didn't really put a finger on before. So it was really interesting.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, another idea popped in my head. But first, I want to talk about, there was one album this year that rocked my world more than anything. And I feel bad for this. I need to write her a letter, because it would have been every gay event, picnic, party, gay bar, everywhere would have been playing this album nonstop through the whole summer. And she didn't get that because COVID. So Lady Gaga,
Kylie Minogue, Disco.
Oh, that as well. But Kylie Minogue, Disco came out much later. Lady Gaga's Chromatica came out purposely for Pride Month, and Pride Month was wah, wah.
Wah, wah.
But yes,
and then Kylie Minogue's album Disco came out, which made me feel so like I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm at the concert, but I'm just high in my room watching the video.
Nothing's like getting multiple singing and dancing videos from Dina Nina Martinez in her kitchen, mostly clothed, singing Kylie Minogue
in a muumuu. Don't judge me. It was like, I feel like the year in music was really interesting, because you started out with Lady Gaga for Pride Month, Kylie Minogue, then you had like just artists all over the place releasing albums. Katy Perry's album was
Taylor Swift doing that very
two albums.
Those were, it was a big change up for her.
Yeah. And I found those, like, I loved it. I'm going to be a 12-year-old girl. Oh my God, I love Taylor Swift. I loved those albums. There was something about the musical evolution or return to a more folky kind of songwriting experience that I just found beautiful and really touched my soul.
What touched your soul in 2020?
Who touched your soul?
No one, because I've been online dating.
Fun. I haven't even been online dating. I didn't even want to touch myself half of this year.
Did you pick up any good, or let's stick to good. I'm not going to ask bad.
Yeah.
Any good habits this year?
No.
With having time?
No.
I think that you approach your work a little bit differently this year because of it. And anyway,
approach my work meaning scrambled to make some money somehow, some way, somewhere.
Cheers.
And failed thanks to.
Anyway,
yeah,
I was thinking
so that was a positive.
I went back to journaling. Like I finally
me too.
Journal every day, meditation. I really worked on my core for a little bit.
Mm-hmm, so did I.
Until about September, and then that kind of fell off. And I've been writing letters. Many of you
I've been writing tons of letters.
Why mostly are you patronizing me?
No, I'm just mostly A's and B's, and every once
the
in a while
letter K for kiss my ass.
Oh.
Anyway, okay, well, let's talk a little
Sorry,
bit.
I was trying to be funny while you were being serious. I haven't written a letter. And now I put in a marquee letter on the marquee in our window.
Well, that's fun.
So I did letters.
I did letters.
Okay,
so what do you want to talk about from this year? And okay, I only can speak for myself, but coming into this, yeah, a lot of horrible shit happened. I don't know anyone that doesn't have someone who passed away in their life. Most people have. It's been a really shitty year, but also some other things have happened. Like the first thing, we started the year with the Australian wildfires, and that got a little in the shadow of COVID, but that also, like, all those images of koala bears, of kangaroos, like with nothing, really imprinted everyone. And I think our charge to climate change was upped a little bit. I hope it was. Maybe that's just being me being an optimism.
Yeah. Optimist. I think that I would like to hope that more people are like, yes, we believe that climate change actually exists because of this year. The annual impact of the environment has been impacted in a good way, unlike previous years, even though it's still not as much as we should do or could do. Right. But then I also see this backlash of conservative people who don't believe in science, who also don't wear masks and probably wear affliction t-shirts, who
yet they're first in line for the vaccine,
right? But they are also like saying that climate measures are too expensive for the people of the country and for the world, and they're too extreme. And I'm like, we've got to fucking do something. Do you want to live on this planet? Like, the planet may not be destroyed, but we may not be here because nobody fucking cares about each other.
I remember all the images that came out late April, early May.
Yeah.
Of like all these cities that you could see clear as day, because not all if the environment will bounce back quickly, we just have to give it a chance. And if that wasn't an example of like how like quickly it can bounce back and how much we need to make a change to let it bounce back, then anyway.
So in March, when you went to celebrate your birthday in Catalina,
it was end of February.
Well, end of February.
Because you were with me on my actual birthday.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was in Texas when you were. Okay. So long. Could you see Catalina from the mainland?
We hadn't got to that point yet, though.
No, I know.
Oh, no.
The question is, could you see? Exactly.
No.
So in the middle of, like, in May or June, one of my friends and I were talking, and he's like, I've lived in LA for like 25, 30 years. I have never seen Catalina. I've never seen the beach from my apartment in Hollywood. And he's like, I can see it now. And I'm like, wow. That's how I did it. I did it just like that. So like the impact was really quick, but then everybody is like, oh, I'm gonna get back in my car. I never got out of my car.
Not
I'm not
everyone's
gonna lie,
really
but,
back in their car. I mean,
but you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I mean, California is still locked down.
Yeah.
I will say, going to like the science portion, this year was innovation in science. I mean, it was because always need and demand creates the quickest change. And so the need for a vaccine, but the fact that it was like science is there to create it. Mm-hmm. I'm still unsure if I'm going to get the first round. When I'm allowed to, but yeah, I'm still on the fence. Not because I'm definitely a vaccinator. Like, get those vaccines. I travel for a living. I say yes to vaccines, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you had a vaccine right now and said, "Hey, it's here. Do you want it?" I'd probably take it. Mm-hmm. So
I would for sure take it. My cousin, oh my God, I forgot about Black Eyed Peas. Ann Walker's going to put Black Eyed Peas on. I love you so much. Enjoy your Black Eyed Peas. Wish I were with you.
What did my mom say? Why don't I have those?
She said, love you both, because you're not
love you,
producer. Love you, Mom. So yeah, what were we talking about?
Science.
I would absolutely take it. My cousin took it. She's a nurse. She took it. And they live in Texas. So
Katie, actually, if Katie's still on, just give a shout out. You took it. You're Katie won this big nursing award in Lexington. Anyway, so shout out to her. But
award-winning nurse.
She if she has anything to say about it, she can comment on. I'm drinking, so what does it matter?
I mean, it's not pot.
Okay.
You're welcome, everyone.
We watched a couple of nights ago. We watched Death to 2020, the movie, and it was eye-opening how much stuff did happen this year.
Oh yeah, it was eye-opening.
Like,
no, this is the thing.
We may have been stoned.
The moment that I was not. I was really stoned. The moment Trump took office, news happened so fast. Things happened so fast, and there was so much coming at us, right? That we don't think about how much happens anymore.
Right.
But then this year was 25,000 years all in 1 year.
That's a great assessment.
I'm just telling you like it is, right? It was a lot of fucking years in 1 year.
It was. I mean, I told him
on top of Trump's like quadrupling of news cycles, like then there was everything else.
I was looking at just what happened really before COVID got going in this country. Parasite winning Best Picture, which if you still haven't seen it, go see it. It's on Hulu. Like, it's definitely like, obviously, if you know about it, you know that you're probably gonna have. I mean, you have subtitles is the word I'm looking for. So, but it's a great movie, and there's a reason why it like jumped far ahead above all these other pictures. Harvey Weinstein's verdict, that happened. March 9th stock market crash. Like, I mean, that was related to COVID, but like all these things just poof.
Yeah. Poof. There was like, and then you keep going and you're like, oh, there was the Nexium scandal, that whole thing with Allison Mack. I was obsessed with that. I'm still obsessed with it. There was
HBO has a whole docuseries on it. It's weird.
I come from like a really kind of cultish, borderline cult Christian.
Well, you know what it reminded me of?
What?
What did I take when we lived in LA?
Landmark education.
I got a lot out of that. I got a lot out of Landmark Education.
So Landmark also had a sex cult ring. I'm just kidding. It didn't. It did not. It did not. It did not.
Some of my greatest lines that I use when I'm doing strategic planning with clients and stuff is from Landmark. But didn't I bring you to Landmark?
No.
Didn't you come with me?
No, I didn't go to Landmark.
Because I had to bring a guest
night?
No, bring a guest night. I could have swore it was you.
It was not me.
Anyway, Landmark Education. I won't point fingers at who got me into that, but he lives on the East Coast. And he's been really close friends with me since 2001. You deduced that. Well, murder hornets.
Murder hornets. It seems like 1902 that happened. Right. Murder hornets. God, all of Southern California and the wildfires, you know, like
all the way through Oregon.
Oh my God.
Like,
all the
West Coast.
hurricanes. All of the hurricanes. Like we had more hurricanes this year than any other year on record, I think.
And they hit places that they don't normally hit. Like,
and places that they normally hit, so that they were all
like Honduras got killed and like just trampled. El Salvador got trampled. Like in those places the hurricane flow doesn't usually go down that low and that far.
Flo does, but you know, she's a bitch. Just I don't know. So they went from names of hurricanes to like Greek letter hurricanes.
I missed half of hurricane season because there was so much shit going on. I mean,
how could you keep up with all of hurricane?
I made it sound like
because hurricane season started before it normally started and lasted until last week. I made it sound like people get in line to like buy tickets for hurricane season. I didn't mean it like that. I missed my tickets.
I mean, the media brought up. There was so much going on that I had three thoughts in my head. I was going to go back to murder hornets. I'm going to go back there for just a moment. It's funny the media needed to push murder hornets to scare us because then along came everything else.
Everything.
Because of this year, though, we had to stop and pause. And when George Floyd passed away, though, the entire country, everyone's on a different spectrum of this, but white people really, I'm speaking very generally, but like it was seen at how we all are participating in this society and how we all have to act anti-racist.
Yes.
So that was a big pro of this year. But rest in peace, George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and everyone else that lost their lives due to police brutality.
And it's still happening even to today.
Just in Minneapolis yesterday. Like it's But Black Lives Matter had that campaign that was able to get somewhere, you know. And I remember sitting on my porch. One day it would be Black Lives Matter like march, and the next day it would be anti-maskers, and I'm just like, this is so weird. Like this is the dichotomy that we're living in. And in Madison, of course, you get all the entire spectrum.
And we learned more than anything that Americans don't give a fuck about each other.
Do you think that though empathy grew, even though it doesn't maybe seem like it on the outside? I feel that empathy grew.
Only with people that aren't Republicans. I'm just kidding. I've had a couple. I love y'all. I'm gonna get all the hate mail.
I feel that
no, yes, it had. Like, I mean, I had moments where I was able to talk to people that I know that are staunchly conservative, socially as well as fiscally, and like I feel like they were like, well, it's concerning, but also it's concerning that they're throwing things into windows.
I can't even. Those things in 2020, I'm letting sit because they don't need to be drudged back up.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not drudging anything.
My hope is though that Biden and Kamala Harris, that was a huge. My hope is once they take office next month, and we get going, and the many people on the conservative side see that those lies and those rumors are not going to happen because we know that they're not, like the extremeness of some of those rumor mills coming out. It's not going to happen. And they might feel of like, oh, this is what it's like to be in the country again when someone isn't tweeting at 2 a.m.
And crazy.
Yeah.
Your mom loves your hat. Thank you.
Thanks, Mom.
Love ya. Yeah, no, I agree. I hope that some sanity.
Ann Walker might want to pipe in on that one.
But she's making Black Eyed Peas, so she's gone. I just hope that some sanity comes back. Like, both sides need a lot more critical thinking than we are employing. And that's a job that is open. Like they're still hiring critical thinkers everywhere. Well, like on Indeed, they're asking for critical thinkers right now. Monster is no longer in existence, but if it were, it is, isn't it? It's still out there. I
don't know.
But LinkedIn, they said, hey, you're a critical thinker. I have a job for you. It's all over. They want you to think critically, people, and not critically as like angrily critical, like not like a movie critic, but we want you to think. That those are the jobs that are available right now. Okay. It was not stopping. I was just I'm going.
Think also that when we are assessing education and everything in the next administration, how do we reapply critical thinking into elementary education and high school education, like into STEM, because that all is in relationship with being a citizen, being a servant, being a
civilian.
Yeah. In a civil society is critical thinking and
also how do we get back to being a community that cares for each other, that support each other versus a bunch of islands that are floating in the Pacific that aren't connected to anything?
Like How Long Bay?
Yes.
That's not in the Pacific.
I don't care. I don't know.
Anyway.
I know geography a little bit, but you know what I mean? Like, we've got to learn to care about each other and support each other. Like, how do we help our people, our friends, our people that live next door that are losing their jobs in a situation like this? You know, how are we doing that instead of just thinking about ourselves?
Mitch McConnell says what?
Did I just repeat Mitch McConnell? But I mean that. Like, they need to be helping us, but we also need to be able to find ways to help each other with love and light.
I think you're at a point where
I've lost 5 million people on the.
I think you're at a point that I can talk about this now.
Okay.
Because I think this is the biggest thing. Whether you believe or don't believe, or however you feel, there was a shift in our energy this year, and in that podcast with Brené Brown being interviewed by Russell Brand, they talked about the patriarchy dying and the last stand, and how this is the last stand. Last stands are never pretty. But we're in a last stand of the old school patriarchy, of patriarchy in general. And also,
stand in the dictionary, the definition is
but also we went into the age of Aquarius.
We did. The age of mother.
So I think good things are coming.
This is the thing I find so interesting, because I've been like weirdly spiritual for so long. People are talking about meditating and talking about like esoteric spirituality openly. Like, we didn't talk about that openly.
Right.
Like, people were talking about it openly.
Even in LA, we didn't talk about it.
Even in LA, we didn't talk about it openly.
Like, to go like meditate. Remember that 4 a.m. meditation class that we like?
Yeah.
It was so secret.
It was like, we're going to meditation.
And it's LA.
And now, and it was out, but we go to meditations now. Openly. We go to Zoom meditations now. I
think, and we're seeing it in very different examples. Our friend Sarah Taylor, she brings it into her Teddy Talks.
Oh my God, it's so good.
You should find her on Instagram, and she does these videos where she's driving around with a teddy bear and having these full-on conversations. It's fucking hilarious.
They're so good.
But she's also bringing in like her spirituality into it, and you leave they're short videos, and you leave them calmer and more collected. And
I never wanted to talk about it in comedy, but now I feel like it's virtual.
You can talk about everything else, and you can talk about that.
that was something that felt like it had to be separated, like it had to not be out there.
Speaking of your comedy and your one of your biggest jokes, it's in my intro of the book, right? You've said that you've read the intro.
I haven't said I read it because you haven't sent it to me.
I sent it to you ages ago. Anyway, in the intro of the book, I talk about your like number one joke.
The worst thing about being a straight woman?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, you can talk about that and you can talk about spirituality.
My crotch is a collaborative matter.
It is.
It was. What about dating? You're doing online. You're dating on. Tell me about.
I'm kind of dating. I've went on probably 6 dates since we've been in this, and that's, for anyone who knows me, that's a very low number. And they were 6 social distance dates. Mm-hmm. So,
but in person, but socially distanced.
Yes. And then I've done a couple like Zoom like dates and catching up with old friends that could be possibly something, but it's not easy. And that's, part of my depression over the last few months. That's you've taken out. I'm a friend collector, so you've taken that out. You've taken out
the sun,
dating, and everything else that goes along with that.
And then the sun goes.
The sun goes. The winter comes. Yeah. So, but dating it's interesting. It's really being a single person. It has its pros and cons for both, because I also see some of my married friends going through all this, and like we thought it was gonna be quick. Like by June, July, we'd be back with each other. Oh, yeah. But now it's like many months of like, oh, it's you again.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. I just have Ophelia. I got a dog this year.
You got a dog. That is another thing that has been great about this year is the pounds and pounds are
and shelters.
They're empty. They're empty because people are getting dogs. But the worst part about that is people don't know how to take care of dogs sometimes.
I'm doing a good job, though.
You
right?
are doing a great job.
My dog,
his dog has special needs.
Yeah, but she sits now and she gives me her paw, and she will come to me at least 45-50% of the time when we're at the dog park.
And then when you're putting on your shirt, she'll freak out and go under the bed.
Yes. Or you set the pen down too hard, and anyway,
she'll just walk around in circles for a year.
But I will say, it's in the same realm of that. I'm thankful that this year I never thought that I could be closer with you or Christine. And I've become so much closer with you. Yeah. Like, because I thought our friendship was like, it's solid. Like, we're solid. We've been doing this for 15 years now. Like, or
Craig's like, plus. Christine and Dina are fine. And I'm going to go make 25 million more friends.
But we've had this time together, and I really cherish that, because like we're on a routine. Like, what time we going to the dog park today? Which
has been probably my saving grace throughout this whole thing. It gets me moving. Like, I could just stay in my bed and not leave. I could do that. I could literally not leave if I didn't have to.
With my dog, as well as an abridge or an appendage of that, is she gets me up in the morning, so I don't have the option to she's so active and so busy that I've got to take her for a walk. Anyway, have you been able to really strengthen some of your relationships out there, whether it's your spouse or your best friend or your parent
and are you a new dog owner or pet owner? Did you get a pet during
and what's their name? My friend Rachel, during this, she's like, Greg, I'm going to become a foster parent for dogs, but I'm not getting a dog. She was like really belligerent about it. Yep, she's got a dog now.
I saw pictures.
It's so cute.
So cute. I got my dog about 5 years ago. It was the first pet that I've had as an adult, and I really don't think I could have gotten through most of my life without her.
Oh,
I tell her all the time, I'm like, you're the only reason your mom's alive. And she's like, Mom, that's a lot of responsibility for a 5-year-old.
Dina has the funniest conversations with Gertie, and you should all tell Dina that she needs to make videos of her having these conversations because it's hilarious. We have a Marco Polo group with Dina, Christine, and our friend Sarah, and we always it's so fun when Dina then has a conversation with Gertie. But then we all have conversations with our dogs and tape them on Marco Polo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I remember when you guys told me to get Marco Polo last year, and I was like, no.
It's like when I told you to get Facebook
or texting. Remember texting?
Or text.
Sorry,
get a phone that has texting.
Fans, you've probably heard the story before, but I hate it.
Tech resistant, and now he's tech resilient.
That one Pride where Matt screamed at me when we finally met up, "You need to start texting. I'm not calling you in this crowd." Yelled at me. I think booze had a piece to do with it.
I haven't really drank this whole year either. It's almost 2 years.
Yeah,
really, I've had a sip here and there, but I don't like it. But I get high all the time now. I need to turn off the heater.
It's very hot.
Okay.
Continue talking. So we've talked about a lot of different subjects. Please, is anyone put in there? Send us what your 2020, the highlights of your 2020. We all know the bad parts. But if you've lost someone, we're sorry. And that is the worst thing that anyone can go through. And that happened a lot this year. But there were some highlights. And we really wanted to just
this is the thing.
The highlights.
After such a tough year, I didn't know how tough it was. I didn't realize how tough it was until a couple weeks ago when I hugged, or a couple days ago when I hugged Christine, and I just started crying because I was like, this is what it feels like to love somebody.
Oh, that's so cute.
I was like, I miss hugging people. I didn't realize that. And we do comedy online, which is amazing in the sense that I get to work with people I haven't worked with since I lived in LA. I can work with people from all over the world. That's an amazing thing, but it's still tough because I miss you guys. I miss the audience. I miss telling jokes and people laughing, not from a distance at the dog park, in
Fortunately,
a room.
Though, I think a lot of the positives are going to creep's a bad word, are going to seep into. They're going to be a part of our how we do things going further because feed into. I'm on a board of a national conference, which ages ago we decided our conference in March was going to go online. I've had a couple clients hire me and my firm to help them with their online events and their online conferences. And one of them with the UW here in town, it was free because most online conferences are free. And because of it, we had people tuning in from 26 different countries. That's phenomenal. All that expertise, all that brilliance, all that knowledge funneling in. So I don't know how that's going to be done, but it's going to be used going forward. And also the idea to pick and choose exactly what you want from a conference was a huge benefit with the online. I can't say the same for comedy.
Yeah. It's just people can pick and choose what they want to watch.
Right.
But there's so many out there. There's challenges with it, but it's been so fun to get to work with people and see people even online because excuse me, because last year online comedy wasn't a thing.
Right.
Who
would have ever thought comedy online would be a thing?
Nobody.
So, and I think it's developing the art form.
And it's not going to go away. No. It's just going to continue. And that's great. But also I miss you guys.
Remember the beginning of all this when this happened, when you would not even come near me?
Oh, yeah. Because I didn't know what was.
We didn't know what really it took to make a quarantine. So I was on an island by myself, shouting at my neighbor, getting really drunk a lot, with him on the other porch and me on my porch, and just it feels like an eternity ago.
It does. And it was not. I remember wiping down all the grocery bags and all the everything, wiping it all down. was so panicked. I'm still stressed about it. Like, which is so reasonable considering that we have more cases than at the height of our quarantine, like beginning of it all. Like we should be a little freaked out, cautious, but also like, you know, wear masks, socially distance. Like I was getting a soda at the store and people were walking up to me and I'm like, I understand that we're deep into this, right? Like I understand we're deep into it, but get the fuck away from me with love and light. Like just, you know, just back up a little bit. Don't be on top. I don't like it when people are on top of me before a pandemic. I mean, I like it when they're on top of me.
And that's the report about her sex life.
And dating, like I haven't dated, but I didn't date for years before that. For at least a year.
You did have an ex come into your life this year, though.
I can't even. Hey, my wife and I are coming into town. Would love to see you.
I think he just wanted.
Is that reasonable?
Threesome.
No. Ooh. No. Ooh. Anybody else have somebody that's been like, my wife and I, or my partner and I are coming into town. We would love to see you. I would love to see you.
That's very specific. If someone else out there has that same situation, I want to hear it.
And yours probably ended better. Mine was like, why are you missing? What?
Well, we've got 7 minutes left.
We can.
I know, but let's
stop boring these people, the two that are watching.
I want to hear what you want to bring into the new year besides love and light.
Joy.
Bring the joy.
Bring the joy.
I am entering 2021 with love and with patience and kindness and compassion and empathy.
All right.
And every moment I need to figure out a way. I'm all ears to like the best way, whether it's a rubber band around my wrist or something, to like those moments when I'm not seeking out being the most compassionate I can be in that moment, not finding empathy, not bringing love and kindness to it. Then I need to check myself. So I'm working on a routine to be that, to make sure I'm doing that as much as possible. We're not perfect. We're only humans, but that's what I want to bring into 2021. Hopefully the rest of it's just going to fucking work out, because it's gotta. If not,
there is no other choice.
If not, I'm moving into your house next month.
I mean, I've already got 20 people living with me.
Christine. Yeah. What about you? You didn't really answer. I just
I want to bring in as much joy and love as possible and not feel like everything's gonna fall apart every 5 seconds. You know, like everything has been so tenuous for so long that this year exposed how tenuous everything really is. And I just want to be able to be like, no matter what happens, I can find some joy, gratitude, and love.
One of my favorite pieces of advice going through this year was, and I think this isn't going away. Our situation is not. This is a long change. It took a long time to get this bad, so it's going to take a good amount of time to get better. But one of the best pieces of advice was a half a day at a time. And I think that's applicable to however you want to say it. A half an hour at a time, 1 day at a time, a week at a time.
A minute,
like
at a time.
I almost went into a musical.
A minute at a time.
An actual musical.
Oh.
Last 5 years. For the next 10 minutes. Anyway.
Oh.
That's what I got.
4,075.
Not that.
Discovery has been an amazing Star Trek Discovery. It's been my life's blood this year. Sorry, I'm grateful for Star Trek Discovery.
That was not my question.
I know.
Okay.
What was your question?
Anyway, I think we're about done here.
Oh.
That was not mean. I'm not leaving. We're spending this evening
together. You covered everything that you...
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Wonderful, everyone. It was so lovely seeing you. Thanks for joining us here on DNG Live.
We'll be back sometime with the next new season. Sometime soon. I mean, we're talking about it all the time. We just haven't nailed down the dates.
And when he says nailed down the dates, he means decided on what dates we're going to do it.
I'm Greg Potter.
I'm Dina Nina Martinez.
And this was DNG Live. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Woo! Bring the joy!